So rumour has it, when the dust settles after an inevitable Third World War, only two things shall remain: cockroaches and Suzuki's legendary K5 platform. This is the Suzuki GSX-S1000, a stripped-back super naked with real pedigree. At its core sits that K5-derived 99cc inline 4, proven, brutal and far from outdated. This thing does not mess around. Up front, fully adjustable 43mm KYB forks help keep it planted, whilst a mix of Nissin and Brembo monoblock hardware supplies the stopping power. Because on a bike like this, serious braking isn't optional, it's the only thing standing between you and an early transfer to the afterlife. Everything here feeds through a clean 5-inch TFT display with smartphone connectivity via Suzuki's MySpin app. The Suzuki GSX-S1000 keeps that raw old-school K5 Gixxer DNA with just enough mod cons to keep today's riders satisfied.
Look at this beast, brand new GSX-S1000. Before we jump out and go for a spin, I'm sure Intro Me has done a quick walk around on this thing, but let's just have a quick look. This colour scheme is amazing, and my biggest favourite of this bike is this camouflage finish. But this bike looks awesome, I can't wait to get on the road. Let's just, it's too hot, let's stop flapping around. Let's take this thing for a rip and see what it's all about. Look at that beautiful dash spark up. But first, let's just get a little sound check. This thing, as far as I'm aware, is a bit of a detuned K5. The detuned K5 Gixxer, I think it's pushing about 150 horsepower on average. Plenty for what you need. But already just sitting on it, I'm very familiar with naked bikes. This does have that nice wide stance. It does feel very wide on the cockpit. That's one thing I do notice straight away, is it's very pronounced. You feel very, very big and meaty yourself on this bike. And the clutch, when you pull off, is very short. It's got a very short clutch, so it's very twitchy. But other than that, first impressions, feels super comfortable. This has a bit more of a cowl in the seat, as in the seat has a bit more of a hump behind you, locking you in. A bit more sporty, if I would say. We'll find out in a minute when we give it a bit of beans. Just got to watch out here because there's a lot of roadworks and gravel on the road. And the last thing I want to do is bin my mate's brand new Gixxer. Just like this gravel here. But hey, typical 1000cc fashion, this thing pulls like an absolute beast. Doesn't matter what gear I'm in, look at that. And it has an up and down. Oh, that's nice. A buttery smooth quick shifter. Up. That's very nice. It does have a bit of a soft touch, unlike a big clunky click. But nothing to complain about, it's just a different feel to some other bikes. I still sometimes prefer downshifting manually because I like to rev match. It gives me that fun factor. But overall, I mean, it's very nice. So let's just draw it back from the beginning. Let's just start with the cockpit. One thing I do notice is the front is quite low, not as far forward as something like a Ducati Street Fighter, but far enough forward that it does open up the whole of this cockpit, even with my camera gear in the way and stuff and these mirrors. You're not very impeded with the view. It does feel like a very open bike, and you are quite hunkered forward ever so slightly. But that minimalist cockpit kind of adds to the feel of this bike. I think that's a very good choice. When you start adding too much to a naked bike up front, it takes away from that immersion of feeling raw and visceral. And I think at that point, you might as well just get a bike with a fairing. Look at that for a beautiful view, dudes. We're just cruising past Port Waikato, if you want a point of reference. Stunning place, stunning ride. And a very good place for us to test out tipping this bike in, as you'll find out in a minute when we get to the twisties. I'm just getting a little bit of a feel for these tyres because I think these are Road Maxes or something. I don't know, I'll find out and put them on the screen. But we were just talking about on the way when we stopped that they don't feel the most confidence inspiring, and they actually feel quite stiff and rigid compared to something like the S23s that I have on the back of that KTM, so they don't give you the most confidence when tipping. But I mean, we've ridden on worse things, so we should be just fine. So anyway, the cockpit, as you guys can see, the dash is very nice, it's very clear, high resolution, quite simple to use. You've got mode up and down. It just cycles through your traction control and your rider mode. So A being the most visceral, I think you have to let go of the throttle to change it. C being the most docile, and immediately I can feel a massive difference. That's very laggy if you look at the throttle. Holds back the power. This must be rain mode. Very much feels like a neutered MT-09 when you do that. And then obviously if we pop it up, we add the aggressiveness. But I like riding in the most powerful modes when it comes to these bikes. I just feel like I have more control. And just because you put it in the most powerful mode doesn't mean you have to ride it like that. It's just good to know. And I won't mess with the traction control settings, because if I forget to put it back and I give it back to him and he's used to it, I don't want to mess with his whole experience. Thanking ye. See, we need more people like that. Oh, that quick shifter is so nice. And look at it, effortlessly picks up speed. I mean, as we said, this is 1000 cc, this is a big boy, so you don't need me to tell you that this thing has power. So don't be fooled just because it's not pushing 180 or 200 horsepower. 150 is perfect. And that ties in nicely to the feel of this engine and the bike in general. Feels so smooth, as all inline fours do. But this is the K5 Gixxer. Don't forget, this is the famous bulletproof engine that has been here around at least 20 years plus. And it's been around for a reason, because it's bulletproof. It's passed the test of time. And people love it. It's a fan favorite. And myself included, even though I'm barely touching the throttle here and it's giving it some beans. I love this engine, so much so that I myself am looking at the next bike possibly having this engine as well. So I'm really enjoying this, as you can tell, for that reason. Yeah, it's so smooth. And then if we move up from the engine itself to the chassis and how it feels riding, I'm feeling almost zero vibration through these handlebars. And that is a big thing when it comes to riding a bike like this. If you're going to be chewing up miles, I've done many a long rides, and sometimes at the end of the day you feel like you've been on a jackhammer all day on a building site. You end up with that white knuckle syndrome. This already, like just touching them, I can't feel any vibration through there. There is a bit through the foot pegs, I will say, nothing major, but up here, up front, I'm feeling nothing, and I feel that quite a lot on a lot of other bikes. I'm sure we'll find a second to overtake this guy, but just before we do, let me just give you guys a reminder to like and subscribe. It does me a world of favors, and it helps me bring more content like this to you guys. And you really can hear that engine purr, even though it's a stock exhaust. I can only imagine if you open this up with a straight pipe. But even from a stock system, it has a nice deep low end growl that you expect. And it does exactly what it says on the tin. Yep, that's 1000 cc, baby. That is exactly what we expect. Effortless gliding past traffic, overtaking with no effort at all. Look at these lovely hills in the background. Perfect ride to test the Gixxer out. And just already I can tell you the feel of this engine, it would be happy to chew up miles all day, and you could easily put saddlebags on this thing. It's so comfortable. I mean, for a naked sport bike. So let's see what this thing feels like when you throw it around some corners. And there you go, as expected. Having a 180 on the rear gives it so much surface area. That big tyre means it's so easy to just point and shoot. It doesn't have a short tipping surface area. As with most bikes of this caliber, they're very easy to maneuver. Just watch out for this gravel. And they'll hold a line, no problem. That's one good thing about naked bikes. These big upright handlebars are so much easier to maneuver, and they're more friendly for a rider when it comes to everyday roads. And the compromise with the sport bike to upright bike, you get that middle hyper naked kind of area that we're touching on now, is you're in that middle ground of being aggressive, as in my legs are quite cramped, but that's because I'm a bit of a taller rider. I am 6 foot, but not as aggressive as a full-blown sport bike, but also nowhere near as relaxed as something like a Sport Tourer. But there's that awesome bridge we went across earlier. But just look at how nice that feels just to get the RPMs going. And you can only imagine if this thing had been running and I had full rein to abuse it, how much fun this engine would be. perfect. Let's test this thing on the twisties. So being that I'm slightly more sporty, does mean you can have a bit more fun in these twisties on a bike like this. That's beautiful. Just holds a line like nothing. Doesn't even bat an eyelid. Drop down a gear or two. Not like you need to on a bike with this much power. I'm very surprised with this bike. For some reason, I don't know why, knowing how cheap this bike is, I think this is one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest, 1000cc naked bike you can buy. If you were to get one of these, put it this way, you'd be getting your money's worth. If you compare it to the other bikes in this category, you're definitely not missing out, I can tell you that much. Yeah, look, I'm barely putting anything into that, and that is just holding the perfect line. Lovely Corvette Stingray on a beautiful day, on a beautiful bike. I really am a lucky son of a gun. I'm fully aware of that. Let me know your thoughts on this bike in the comments, and if you've got any questions, let me know. I can always get this bike back out again and get a bit more in depth, as always when I do these first rides. So if you want to know more, let me know and I'll bring the bike back out for another video and answer all your questions. But for now, this is just my typical basic bogan ride with no real plan. I just want to give you my first initial thoughts and feedback of this bike. And I think I just took the wrong turn. La la la, I am an idiot. Why am I bunny hopping this like an absolute amateur? Yeah, I've really got to tame myself on this thing. My natural childish inner rider just likes to take 1000cc's and strangle them. Just got to remind myself that this thing isn't running yet and it's not my bike. Even at slow tipping, it just feels so nice. And look at the road ahead of us. Look, quick shifter. Absolutely beautiful. I will say as well, the more I sit on these little straight runs, the more I can see this bike as a jack of all trades. Stick a couple of saddlebags on the back, or a bag on the back seat, and you're good to go. This thing would easily make a comfortable tourer. I just did a 3-day, 10-hour day ride each day on the MT-09, and this is far more comfortable than that. So if I can do it on that, there is no reason someone can't do it on this. And the seat is nice and plush as well. And as I said, that cowl behind you, the rear seat being slightly higher, you can really scoot your butt back into that for roads like this and have a bit of fun at the same time. It does give you a nice little bit of wiggle room as well, just to stretch your legs ever so slightly. And that's never a bad thing. See, that's the bonus for me when it comes to these kind of bikes. Not that beautiful view over there. It's having that much power that you barely need to play with the throttle. So if you're just in the mood just to cruise on a spirited ride, you just work with literally like the smallest amount of input and you can just glide in and out. And you feel a bit like a superhero flying down the road. Whereas you can do it on a smaller bike, you just got to work for it more. And sometimes you just don't feel like being so aggressive that you have to work through the gears. This is like the perfect amount of power to be lazy, but also have fun at the same time. Wow, look at that. And just touching on those brakes again. Very nice. And these stock mirrors as well, they're perfectly fine. I'm never usually a fan of stock mirrors. I find them quite bulky and clunky myself. But these actually fit the silhouette quite well and they give you good visibility out the back. So you can see beautiful things like that in your rear view. What a beautiful, beautiful sight. And I think I couldn't think of a better place to finish this video than right here. That is the GSX-S1000. My first initial ride and review, just my impressions. As always, it's never anything in depth with me, it's just my layman terms just for you guys watching if you're interested. A wicked bike, I'll rate that a good 8, 9 out of 10 for the super hyper naked category. As you can see, look at it, it's a big bulbous 1000cc bike. I mean, I was never going to complain, was I? But it looks beautiful. Other than that, I think let me give this bike back before I end up losing my license. Let me know what you think and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching, like, comment, subscribe. A peace.